Okay, we're finally to where we get to do something active. It's time to act, it's time to attack, it's time to rip that ball and really hit it hard. We've gotten into the hitting position. Kelly here is in her stance, and then she takes that small step or stride or reach as she loads up and she gets into her hitting position. She's now ready to attack the ball. And this is where it gets to be fun. How do we attack the ball? How do we swing explosively? A lot of young ladies, when you tell them to attack the ball and swing explosively, think of arms and hands. They are important, but the key part of the body to attack the ball is the lower part of the body, using the legs and the hips. That's the strongest part of the body, and we want to use that. Actually, the Soviets, before the breakup of the Soviet Union, did a study of elite Olympic boxers a number of years ago and found out when one boxer hits another boxer, about 75% of the force of that lick comes from the lower body. Only about 25% of the force came from the hand extending out from the shoulder. We think of that as how you hit somebody, but actually the trunk rotation and the driving off of the back foot was what delivered most of the force. We want to utilize that with our hitters. They've gotten their stance, they've taken their step, their reach, their stride, they've loaded up 60-40 or whatever. Now they're ready to attack that ball. How do we do that? It's pretty simple. With little kids, we talk about squashing the bug. With older ones, we talk about pivoting on the back foot. We talk about rotating hips. We talk about spinning on the back foot or whatever. Why do we do that? Why do we use that kind of terminology, that kind of force to hit a softball? We use a different kind of force in a lot of other sports and even sometimes in softball or baseball. That's called a linear force. But a linear force won't work here, and here's why. If Kelly's up here to bat, the ball is in front of her this direction. Let's put your bat down just a minute, Kelly, and just point to the ball with your left hand, basically. The ball is out this direction. She's also, though, trying to hit this ball toward the playing field, so point with your right hand. So we've got kind of an odd situation here. The ball is in front of her facially, but it's also in front of her toward her right side if she's a left-handed hitter. She's trying to hit that ball to the field. So a linear force at this point will not work. A linear force is excellent when you're kicking a football. You're trying to be a place kicker and you're trying to drive straight through the ball. A linear force may be effective when you run. A linear force could be effective when you're bowling. But here we need a different type of force, a rotational force, if you want to call it that way. Somewhat like when you thump a quarter and it spins around. If the edge of that quarter were to hit an object, it would drive it forcefully in a direction. And that's what we're going to do here. We're going to rotate her body in what the scientists would call a gyroscopic force. Now that's a big old word, okay? But it just basically means spinning and rotating. And if you watch Kelly, she's going to do that by pivoting on the ball of her back foot. So she's going to take her stance, she's going to load up and take her reach or her stride and then pivot hard on the back foot as she swings. Let's watch that. All right, notice that she's pivoting on the ball of that foot as she keeps doing this. She's swinging and pivoting on the ball of the foot. She keeps her body in toward the plate. She's on the balls of both feet. She's taking that stride and ending up in a really good hitting position and pivoting hard on the ball of that foot. If she were on the toe, a lot of times hitters will get their weight forward and then they raise up on that toe. And they're pivoting just on the toe of the back foot. You're still getting some hip rotation, but not maximum force and explosiveness. It all comes back to a pretty simple tenet or theory or whatever that Sir Isaac Newton had. Basically, if there's a force in one direction, there's an equal opposite force. That's why basketball players go up when they jump. They bend their knees, their weight goes downward, and then they propel themselves upward. Well, that weight going downward is a force headed down. There's an equal opposite force that drives them up. Swimmers do this at the end of a pool when they hit a wall and they go back to the other end. It's the same kind of thing here. We want Kelly to rotate on the ball of that foot because by driving that foot into the ground, Sir Isaac Newton told us that there's an equal opposite force coming up. It ends up on the barrel of the bat, and we hopefully will end up on this ball. So she's going to pivot on that back foot hard and drive the ball. The way to attack the ball forcefully, explosively, is to get into that good quality hitting position and then pivoting on the ball of that back foot. Let's watch her one more time as she pivots really well on the ball of the back foot. Good job, Kelly.